Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. So the theme of this week is friendship, and yesterday I looked into the Buddha's friendship with Ananda. I also gave a little bit of an outline of the life story of the Buddha, just for those of you who are not familiar with it. So what the inspiration for this week is, I just thought that it would be really nice to just explore, some of actually to just explore some of my friendships, as well as talking about the topic, and just kind of dig into a little bit like what friendship is, and as a reminder, but to myself as well. So today I'm going to talk about something called spiritual friendship, or Kalyana Mitrata. So this is where we have a friendship, but it has a kind of like a wisdom dimension to it. There's some sort of verticality there where we're friends with somebody, but also we're learning from them in a certain sort of way. And the word Kalyana Mitrata means beautiful friendship. So it's like there's an aspect of refinement, beauty, that sort of thing in the relationship. There's meaning in the relationship. We get meaning from those sorts of relationships. So this is something that's encouraged within the Triratna Buddhist community that I'm a part of. Just to say, everything's going all right. I made a decision yesterday to kind of just start relying on donations, and I'm just going to see if I can make that work, and just in a way sort of just take the plunge and just become a kind of fully, or try to be a fully supported Buddhist teacher. Through donations at least for the next 6 months before I get my pension. So it's like I suppose this project, it's like the vision for it isn't just me doing some sessions for people in Triratna. It's much bigger than that. It's like I want to be able to communicate on a much kind of broader scale to people around the world. So it's like getting the videos onto YouTube. There's now 28 videos on YouTube, and then adding more and adding shorter ones that people can access, that are kind of shorter meditations, short relaxations, longer relaxations, just anything that's going to support people in this particular time, and also in the future, because we don't know where all of this is going. People have been saying the world's just going to change forever, and that may be the case. So, whatever resources can be available to people, that are bringing ideas and meaning to them, I want to contribute towards that, and I live out my name. So my name means. Maha means great, so it's like, as in Maharaja, great king, so Maha, great. Buddha, Bodhi is like Buddha, enlightenment, so it's great enlightenment. And Mahayana Buddhism is about helping all beings, and I very much identify with that kind of populist. I don't think the word populist means something else in America, but kind of great scope, trying to get a sort of a lot of a big effect on lots of people. So one thing I'm pleased about with these sessions is that I'm getting an opportunity to share some of my inspiration. Well, quite a lot of my inspiration, and I'm part of a Buddhist order who was founded by a guy called Sangharakshita, but there's 2,500 members of the order, ranging in from 40 years ordained to 30 to 20, like that, you know, and I'm 22. I think what I notice is that people, no matter what they've been doing, you know, if they've been in the order 30 years, there's a certain vibe around them. If they've been in it for 40 years, there's a different sort of vibe around. And yeah, so you know, I think what I just really appreciate a lot of order members and their qualities. You know, they've been practicing for 30 years or 40 years, and I'm quite keen to share how they are, not just how what Sangharakshita's teaching, and you know, devotion towards Sangharakshita. So you know, so I have a bit of a thing about wanting to record the order and share conversations among order members, because I think it just happens that the dialogue happens on quite a high level, really, in terms of experience and knowledge and all that sort of thing. So about 5 years ago, when I was you know, I'm still writing my book, and hopefully it'll come out soon. But 5 years ago, one of my friends in West London Buddhist Centre, Jinanda, he's one of Sangharakshita's main editors, and so he edited books like Wisdom Beyond Words, Who is the Buddha, and really hard ones like Know Your Mind. So you know, he's got a fantastic kind of knowledge, really, of Buddhism, Jinanda. And yeah, so he sort of helped me try to get, well, my book turned into a bit of a kind of co-project. So we were meeting, I'd come down to London and we'd meet up and talk about, you know, like what we were going to do. And in the end, it didn't quite work out, I think, just because we were sort of slightly wanting to do different things, and our styles are very different. You know, mine's more wanting to explain something, and his is more really beautiful, intense language, almost like Shakespearean like language. You know? So he would grow ideas out from a phrase, you know, and I'd grow ideas out from my head, and yeah, but it was such a fantastic time, that, you know, to be going down. I went down about 5 times to London, spent, you know, a couple of hours with him, and yeah, and really it was just lovely to just be with him. And but what I said to him, do you mind if I record these sessions? And he went, why? What, you know, what for? You know? And I said, well, I won't remember anything unless I record it, you know. And he kind of reluctantly agreed to me recording it, you know. But I was really pleased I did that, because I've just got this record. I've got this record of me and him talking, and so I'm going to share a bit of that in the session, and me and him talking about mindfulness, and, you know, secular mindfulness, and those sort of ideas, and what we needed to say about that in the book. Yeah. So, so before that, I'm gonna, at the end of the session, I'm gonna go into spiritual friendship. You know what this is. So I'm going to access some of the notes that I made on the spiritual friendship training retreat. So we have ordination training retreats where, you know, kind of in the run up to kind of trying to get ordained, people go on retreats and study different themes. So there's one called spiritual friendship. So some of the ideas around that, and you know, share some of my experiences with friends and things. Talk around the issue. Okay, so but we'll begin by doing a little bit of body work as usual. And so yesterday I I did a bit of body work in before the meditation. I've decided just to do 2 sessions a day, not 3. So I'll be doing like lunchtime meditation, and I think I'll do body work each time I do that for 10 minutes because I just think it makes such a massive difference. So yeah, so if we all stand up, we'll do some of that. Okay, so rub your hands together. Down your arms. Okay, just drumming with your fingers on the top of your head, and start to notice the how it feels to be standing on the ground. You know, so what's happening down there in your feet as they touch the ground. You know, what sensations can you notice? Is there a feeling of pressure as your as your foot spreads out, your feet spread out over the ground? Is there a kind of pulling up the sides there? You know, what's the feeling like where your toes are touching the ground, or your heels? So just different. It's just different at different times, you know, depending on how we are. So trying to be aware of what's actually happening right now, and then shake your hands out on your feet. Shake your legs. Maybe take a few deeper breaths. Okay, and then we'll just put your forehead in the palms of your hands, and just have a sense of curving your spine over and turning. It's like you're turning away from the world. So go into a bit of a fetal position. Just hunch your shoulders over, and just have a sense of giving your head to your hands to be held. And just waiting for your head to realise what's happening and to relax, and to feel that it doesn't have to be on alert, and that it will be supported by the hands and cradled by your hands. And noticing your breath as it brushes your wrists or your hands, and how does it feel down your back to be in this position? How does your mind feel at the moment? Is it a bit wired, or is it drowsy? Is it awake? Take some deeper breaths, just longer breaths. Try and make each breath slightly longer than the one before. Both on the in breath and on the out breath. Okay, and then give your face a bit of a massage with your hands. quite good to just breathe into your hands. And rub your hands together. Okay, then just cradling your elbow in your hand, and then just going over the top and giving the top of your back a bit of a slap. Try to get onto your spine. And the other side. And on your chest. Down your sides. Then down the outside of your arm. And onto your hand, make it a bit painful. Then give yourself a round of applause. And up the inside. And round again. And then the other side. Palms of your hands. What the neighbour's going to think. Whew. Shake everything out. Okay, then just put your hands on your stomach, just do circling on your stomach, just to kind of allow yourself to just come into your belly a little bit. And then just lightly drumming on your kidneys. Then more heavily on your buttocks. Try and get the backs of your legs. And then down your legs. And then shake everything out. So I've noticed that doing those sort of swinging, gentle bodywork sessions doesn't quite do enough. Actually, I think doing the stimulating one, I think it's really necessary. Yeah, so I think probably going to end up a bit more stodgy in our body if we just do gentle relaxation. So okay, so now we'll just do a bit of smoothing energy. So just put your hands on your stomach. And just allow your breath to calm down. And then notice when you're breathing out, just bend your knees, and then straighten your knees on the in-breath. So you're coming up on the in-breath and you're going down on the out-breath. Just notice whether you. Sometimes I do this and people just don't move at all. You know, what's happening there? You know, and I think we can just be so stuck in our heads trying to plan everything and lead from the head all the time that we don't really know how to get into our body. So yeah, you can tell you're in your body because you're actually doing the movements that I'm suggesting. So you're going down and then you're coming up, you're going down, coming up, going down on the out breath. And then next time you're coming up, just bring your hands up to your chin, turning at the chin and then taking them down on the out breath, turning at the hips and then bringing them up to your chin. Don't worry about getting it exactly right, just a rough movement. Coming up to your chin. It's more important to just be relaxed about the whole thing than it is to get it right. Coming up to your chin. Just let your mind be kind of lazy, really, and uninvolved as you do this with your body. And keep going past your chin next time and out to the sides and up your chest and then down. And then come up the middle again. Up into the air, out to the sides and down. And then up the middle, out to the sides and down. And then one last time, up the middle, and out to the sides and then down. And then straighten your knees and just standing for a little bit. And being aware of your body and the energy in your body. And try to maintain this kind of like uprightness. So imagine that you're in front of you, there's a hand on the front of your chest and a hand on your back, and both hands are just lifting you gently. So just try to keep this sense as you set up your meditation posture that you just got these hands just gently lifting you. So set yourself up on a chair or on meditation cushions, some sort of firm support for your body. And just spending a little bit of time just getting used to this new position. Try to not have a sort of sense of disconnect between what you've just been doing and what you're doing now. And seeing it as the same, it's basically the same thing, but you're now in a different position, so you're still trying to maintain that sense of vitality in your body and also relaxation and smoothing of energy in your body, but you're now sitting down. So just being aware of the bones of your body as the part of your body that takes the weight of your body. So that's what they're there for. So can you just align your spine so that your weight is just going down into the ground? And it's helpful, I think, to just think that, you know, your body knows how to sit down. It doesn't need any help from your mind to hold it up. So in the Alexander technique, you know, we try and use the body as it was meant to be used, not forcing it into any unnatural position. So it's quite happy to be just sitting there, just poised on its own without any interference. And then it's much more likely to be relaxed if it's just not being interfered with. And then the muscles of your body can just relax, which is like unfurling a fist. So if your muscles feel that they'll be supported by your bones, then they can just soften and relax. And then tuning into with how you're feeling at the moment. You know, your general mood. And when you do that, don't be judgmental about it. You know, don't say, "Oh, I'm not feeling very good, therefore I'm a bad person," or something like that. We just need to notice what's happening, and then we can then try and be appropriate with that. You know, with how we deal with that in an intelligent way, rather than just reacting to things. You know, so if we feel a bit heavy or something, then we react by feeling depressed and get into a spiral going downwards. But just noticing how we are, but with a sense that we're going to try and respond to how we are in a creative way, which doesn't lead to sinking, or if it's the other direction, if it's like we feel good and then it doesn't lead to intoxication or something. So we want however we are, to be able to lead to something that's productive of happiness for ourselves and for others. So if we can stay in the middle ground between sinking and what we call drifting, which is like we get a bit intoxicated, stay just in the middle there somewhere. So we're going to do the Metta Bhavana meditation, which is appropriate given the theme, and and we're going to do all 5 stages. So just at the beginning, just choosing quickly who you're going to have in the different stages. So there's yourself, there's the good friend, you know, somebody that is roughly the same age that you're not sexually involved with or attracted to, a neutral person, somebody that you find difficult at the moment, and then there's the rest of the world. So just spending a little bit of time just choosing the people you're going to use. So the Buddha, when he taught the Metta Bhavana, he just said, you know, radiate loving kindness in all directions to all beings, which is the general principle. But it's quite helpful to have a structured meditation where, you know, we're actually addressing different types of people. You know, people that we get on with, people we don't get on with, so that we are actually addressing some of the main issues in our lives in relation to others, and trying to transform our emotion towards those different types of people. Okay. So in the first stage of the Metta Bhavana, just begin to connect with ourselves as a person, with our life. Just giving ourselves the space to do that. And just noticing to start with, what our emotion is towards ourselves at the moment. So when I look at my own emotion towards myself at the moment, what I notice is that I feel a bit impatient. And in a way, I'm treating myself a little bit like an object. I'm not quite doing what I would like to be doing with myself. So that isn't loving kindness. So how can I change that to be a more kind response? I suppose I can just forgive myself for whatever I'm not living up to or something. Just try to have a sense that it's okay to just be a human being. And as a human being, I need attention and care and love. And just allowing that thought to inform my emotion towards myself, so I can feel that I do actually want to be a bit more caring towards myself, having thought that. So just trying to cultivate, just like a little flame, a little flickering flame, any impetus that's a bit like that, that's a bit more kind, a bit more caring, a bit more in line with who and what we are. We're so conditioned to be successful and those sorts of things, those sorts of ideas, that we can just forget about our humanity, really. May I be well. And if other feelings and emotions are there that are not in line with that, don't give them any attention. Just keep coming back to this sense of cultivating warmth towards ourselves, just as we are, for what we are. You don't need to be any different to what we are to receive care and attention. So now in the second stage of the Metta Bhavana, we sort of put our thinking about ourselves to one side, and what we do is we think of another person, somebody who's a good friend. And we tune into our emotion towards that person, whatever that is. And when we think of our friend, often our friends are people that we find it pleasant to be with, and they often are of help to us. They're often quite helpful, and this is why we get pleasure from them. So while this is true, maybe that this is a little bit self-referential. So can we shift our emotion towards our friend to be a little bit more in line with them and what's their life and what happens for them? So wishing that, trying to get an emotion going, which is like really wanting good things to happen for them. And trying to have this really come from the heart, so it's not an intellectual idea. And sometimes it's just a question of just placing our friend in our heart area, and just being with them in a spacious sort of way. It's like the phrase other regarding. It's like regarding, it's like just looking, isn't it? Regarding our friend. So now just putting down our concern with our friend and bringing to mind somebody who's what we call a neutral person. So what we usually do is just pick somebody who we see around, maybe they work in the supermarket or drive the bus into work or whatever it is. So our emotion towards the neutral person is going to be neutral. It's going to be probably a little bit indifferent, maybe. So again, our perspective is maybe a little bit self-referential. What is the neutral person giving us? So can we shift our view of things to be a little bit more like, well, what is life like for them? So yeah, it's just regarding them, giving them some attention and space. And it's natural that if we do start to see them more fully, more wholly, as for what they are, as in need of care and attention, kindness. They have certain needs, just like we have the same needs. Then what naturally happens is that we actually do start to think, oh yeah, it'd be good if they were well. It'd be good if they didn't suffer. If they made progress in life. May they be well. So if you've phased out like I just did just a minute ago, it doesn't matter, it's okay, just don't worry about it. Just pick up the thread again, just remembering what the meditation is about. Maybe do up a bit of kindness towards ourselves and then move back onto the neutral person. Seeing them as a human being. So now in the fourth stage, we just allow the image of the neutral person to fade away. And we bring into centre stage somebody that we find difficult at the moment. So what's likely to happen when we do this is that we start to connect with the thing that we find painful about them. And then maybe start to get irritated again. But if we can sort of see where this this feeling is coming from, I think it helps to get around it. So maybe this person has just become a bit of a person, an object, what we're seeing as an object in our way. You know, so they're denying us something that we want. So this again is a bit self-referential. And so can we kind of shift our perspective so that we're coming a little bit more from their perspective. And just seeing that they do, will be wanting happiness, and they'll be trying to avoid suffering. And just allowing a bit of space to let that in, let that fact in. It's true that they bring us pain, or that we choose in a way to experience them as painful because they're getting in our way or something. And it's also true that they are a centre of experience in themselves, separate from us. So wishing them well. Not being quite so wrapped up in ourselves. So now in the final stage, just bringing to mind all 4 people that you've used in the meditation. And trying to have a sense of equalising between the 4 people. the amount of attention and care that we bring to them. So what would it be like to not prefer any one to any other? To give all of them the same amount of space in our consciousness, in our hearts, and then just adding in more beings, more living beings. So bringing into the meditation the people who live with us and around us. May they be well as well. And the people who live in the locality, in town. We have a sense that it's possible to just turn our minds, hearts and minds outwards into the world, just embracing more and more beings with kindness. Bringing to mind those who are suffering, so keeping those people in mind without becoming overwhelmed by their suffering. Bringing to mind people who are well, are doing well. And bringing to mind the fact that life itself just brings different things at different times to different people. It's just part of life that suffering is there and happiness is there as well. Accepting both as part of life for everybody, for all beings everywhere. So just give you a little bit of time to come out of that meditation. Okay, so moving on to the theme today, which is so we're already done 55 minutes here. Today's theme is spiritual friendship. So yeah, I'm based in Manchester, and we've had the archive for the movement, for Triratna movement, in Clear Vision in Manchester for years. And I remember just looking at some of the old photographs from the old black and white photographs, and I took some pictures of them. So here's this is Sangharakshita with the Dalai Lama in the 1950s, and here's some. Oh God, here's Sangharakshita. I found it hard to just move it the right way. So here's Sangharakshita with Yogi Chen in Kalimpong. Yeah, I just get a sense of just smiling faces. Tibetan teachers with smiling faces. That's Kachia Rinpoche, one of Sangharakshita's teachers. That's Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, who was one of the Dalai Lama's main teachers, and he gave teachings to Sangharakshita as well. Yes, there's a few more. Oops. Just kind of just relaxed human beings, Here's one of Sangharakshita with Yogi Chen, who he really helps him a lot with teachings on Tibetan Buddhism and Zen and all sorts. He was a hermit who lived in Kalimpong. Yeah, so spiritual friendship. So when I did the retreat on spiritual friendship, there's various things that I made these notes that are really kind of how this sort of complete, make everything as neat as possible, often with little pictures. So I made these notes, and I thought, at some point these will come in handy, and they have. So they have today. So I think some of the aspects of spiritual friendship. So spiritual friendship is friendship, but with this kind of higher dimension to it. So it's a bit like we have friends, but they're not just acquaintances where we just go watch the football with, or whatever. There's an aspect in which they help us. They help us by just embodying qualities that we would like to have. So. So I talked yesterday about some of my friends like Jinandra and Paramanda, and so they, even though I can't be like them. Everybody's an individual. It's like I think, oh yeah, that's really good. That quality, that like Paramanda's just so kind of calm and with emotions and things, and just very kind of warm and. He's an alpha male, he just really looks after like his domain, lots of people. He teaches meditation to loads of people, and he's a reassuring presence. So I often I've not been ringing him up so much recently, but we used to go and visit him in London and spend a few days with him, and it would just come down to earth really, and feel like I was really heard. So with spiritual friendship, it's like there's something else there that's not about most friendship is often around orientated around pleasure and use. Somebody's they're pleasurable to be around, and they're also useful to us. But spiritual friendship goes beyond that. It goes to so some of the marks of real friendship, according to these notes, it says friendship is based on a common ideal. So in those friendships, they're based on a common ideal. Buddhism, wanting to kind of make something out of our lives. It takes place between individuals. So a true individual is somebody who, as much as they can, kind of like thinks for themselves. They're not just doing something in order to belong to a group. I don't know if you can recognise that in some of your friends, that what you like about them is that they have this kind of autonomy and sort of independence, and they stand on their own 2 feet, that sort of thing. It's not friendship isn't instrumental. It's not something we do in order to get something back. It is its own reason, really. It's based in virtue. So what you like about the other person is that they are a good person. That they and that's what you love them for, is that the fact that they're a good person. Qualities like nobility, courage, honesty, a sense of the beautiful, care, sensitivity. They are those qualities. And real friendship isn't abstract. It's not like it's like it's something that you feel with your heart, or you access through your faculty of imagination. You just really see what where that person is heading. Like what their potential is. And it's also permanent. So it's like you're drawn to them. It's like you're drawn. It's like a magnet being drawn to another magnet. It's like you're drawn to other people who are doing the same sort of thing, and even when it kind of dies down a bit, that friendship, you still sort of know it's there. You can always rekindle it, and so you never really kind of give up on your friend. So I've had friends within Triratna Buddhist community that go back 30 years or 32 years even, and sometimes I've not had much contact with that person for a while or whatever it is, but when it comes back, it's obvious why it's a friendship. Spiritual friendship is based in feeling. It's based in a strong attraction, and we love everything associated with our friend. But it's not sentimental. It's not kind of like romantic. It's like it's something much more wholesome, and and it says in the notes here, we must expect to feel. We must expect to feel. So So uh, I think one of the reasons, well, one of the really great reasons why spiritual friendship is emphasised within our movement is that it's like, you know, we have to have ways of activating our emotions and taking them in a positive direction. So you know, emotion is, I mean, the philosopher David Hume, who's a Scottish philosopher of the Enlightenment, one of his main points was that things don't happen because of the reasons for them to happen. You know, we're not convinced really by reasons. You know, what happens is emotion. You know, it's emotion that really drives everything. So it's like we need to have our emotions brought into activated in the direction of our ideals if we're going to really if that's really going to happen. And sometimes in the world you get the emotion that happens. It can be a bit sentimental, you know. So I watched a thing the other night which was a load of musicians doing, I can't remember what it's called, global something or other. It was a load of musicians playing songs and in support of the people on the front line with the COVID-19 crisis, and messages of support and things like this. And so yeah, you know, we can get into a bit of a thing that's a little bit sentimental and even and sometimes you can really tell what's the sentimental and what isn't. I mean, I saw Jennifer Hudson sing this song. It was absolutely fantastic, and it in no way was that sentimental. You know, but yeah, I think it can be, but it feels unsatisfying when things are sentimental because they're more up here, they're more up in the head, and they're not they don't feel wholesome somehow, you know. So I think it's much better to just keep coming back to, well, what is it, what are our emotions actually at the moment? You know, what is actually happening to us emotionally, and is there a way in which we can make those emotions much more wholesome and much more, we're actually feeling something. And then when we actually feel something, we actually then want to do something. So yeah. So the Buddha's attendant Ananda, who's with him for like 25 years or something like that. I'll just share a little thing that happened to me. So the Buddha and his disciples would wander around India and live on alms and things. And but with the monsoon, that kind of stopped that wandering around. So they would stay in one place in the monsoon season. And there's a place called Shravasti, where this king gave this part to the Buddha. He says, "Oh, use it for your rainy season retreat." So I went on pilgrimage to India in 2013, and at first it was a bit kind of like, oh, we're just getting used to India. Blimey, this is like really different from what I'm used to. And I wasn't really connecting with the pilgrimage itself that well, really. But we got to Shravasti and to the Jeta Grove, which was where the Buddha spent 25 rainy seasons with his monks. And as I walked into the place, it was just grass, but there's these they'd outlined in brick, where a lot of the huts might have been and that sort of thing. And they're all covered in flowers, just loads and loads of flowers, just sort of left on everything. And I just thought, blimey, the Buddha must have walked on this bit of ground, this bit of grass. In 25 years, he must have walked on this bit, and I just welled up, and I just got very emotional at that thought. That here I am, and I'm stepping on the same bit of grass that the Buddhas will have walked on at some point. Yeah, so Ananda was the Buddha's attendant, and the Ananda asked the Buddha. He says, spiritual friendship. Hey Buddha, I think spiritual friendship's half the spiritual life. Saying it's really important. So connecting with our loving people, loving our friends, loving all the people that we come across. Is really important, he's saying, and the Buddha said, the Buddha kind of slightly chastised him, and he said, but maybe he's making a point, and he said, no, Ananda, it's not half the spiritual life; it's the whole of the spiritual life. So this is how important it is. So it's like, it's reinforcing this idea that. It's our emotions that is the important thing, really, in life, and what we need to really start activating and engaging in a positive direction. So, So when I got ordained in 1997, what happens is that there's all sorts of structures there set up for meeting up with other people and cultivating spiritual friendship. So order members meet in something called a chapter once a week. So I meet with a bunch of guys who are all ordained for maybe like a couple of hours a week, and we get a chance to meet on that level. Kind of how we're getting on with our ordination and with the commitments we've made to ethics, various sort of ethical precepts and things. And so I was in a chapter for 8 years, and we called it the Sinanada chapter, which means the lion's roar. And at the beginning of the meeting, we'd read this reading, which was kind of like just to remind us of what we're trying to do. So somebody would read this, and it goes, a jackal does not enjoy the lion's roar, but the whelps of the lion, the offspring of the great lion, they enjoy his roar. Even so, like jackals, all the foolish common people. So the foolish common people are just people who are kind of not tuned in really to the Buddha's message, or it's not everybody is, so with the foolish common people with their wrong views are incapable of enjoying the great lion's roar of the Tathagata. So this is the Buddha. Nor can they enjoy or use the wealth of the great lion, the fully enlightened Buddha. But those who are the whelps of the fully enlightened Buddha, the offspring of the great lion, they enjoy the roar of the great lion, of the fully enlightened Buddha, and they will do so forever. So this isn't a group of people saying, "Oh, we're better than the common people." This is a group of people who are saying, "I want to try and step into this world of whatever it might mean to be in touch with the great lion's roar of the Buddha's message." And for the time of this meeting, I want to try and step up to whatever this might mean. So it's more directed inward than it is directed outward. And so often an aspect of friendship is it's not just about saying real friends actually both support each other, but they also say the difficult thing when it's necessary. So when I back to Manchester in 1995, and I got involved in helping convert the Buddhist centre to, it's like a warehouse. We converted a warehouse into a Buddhist centre, like 5-storey warehouse, which was really hard. And I ended up having a meltdown, and ended up kind of being on kind of incapacity benefit. And I was just moved out of London. I'd moved out of London. Everything was just unfamiliar. I didn't know anybody really, and my friend Prasadu, he started to help me. He became a real spiritual friend. He's a very qualified psychologist, CBT psychologist, and he would help me on the phone. He'd sort of talk me through my thoughts and what's happening and all that. And it was just this kind of radiant presence there behind me, really supporting me. But after a while, he started to talk to me about getting a job, and I really resisted that. And I thought, no, I'm not ready for it and all that sort of thing. But he was quite firm with me, and he said, and in the end, I did get a job. I got a cleaning job, and it took away the pressure. Like I've just got, I'm supporting myself, and I don't need to worry about anything else. So it was the right thing, but it was painful to hear. It's sometimes in the chapter we would do something called rejoicing in merit, so we'd rejoice in our good people would rejoice in each other's qualities, I've kept this keeping all sorts of things. So this is this is Prasadu, Suketu, Buddhishanti, and me talking about good qualities. So Prasadu says about me, he says, great presence, deep, powerful voice, reassuring presence. On the how I could develop myself better, sometimes I've kind of it's a question of style, how I come across, maybe a bit abrasive on occasions, and be more mindful of the effects directness can have on people. But then the final one is the personal positive effects of me on him. So he says unfailing friendliness and generosity, very generous in spirit. So it's like to say what's good about somebody, to say what could be better, and to say how we personally have benefited from that person. It's like a sandwich. It's like, there's a good thing at the beginning, there's a good thing at the end, and there's something to reflect on in the middle. So I said about Prasadu, very other regard, he's incredibly responsible, excellent listener, bright personality, clear understanding of how people work, generous with his time, enthusiastic. Sometimes on the what he could work on is like being a bit less opinionated about people like artists and things. And but personally, what he really helped me with was saving me from confusion, looking out for me, kindness, attentiveness, but not just being supportive, but being direct when necessary. So and my friend Buddhishanti, just really calming influence. That's what his name means, is the peacefulness of the Buddha. very eloquent, very cultured, very gentle, very mindful, careful, humorous, self-effacing, dependable, systematic. I mean, Buddha Shanti would once he set up meetings, developing a friendship with somebody, he would just come back all the time to that, when do you want to meet up? When do you want to meet up? So I'll probably meet him about once every 2 months, but really dependable, loyal, in a way systematic in his cultivation of friendship. So these people, having these people in my life, it sort of reflects back to me qualities that I have, but also ones that they have that I think, oh yeah, I could really use more of that. I could really use more, Buddha Shanti's peacefulness and his kind of dependability and regularity and just calm, really. Yeah. Or Prasadu's clarity of and courage and taking responsibility. He takes responsibility here, there, and everywhere. So we've all got these different qualities that that are bringing something to the table, and when you put all that together, you just have something that's immense. When people are individually working on themselves and just bringing, the different, and years of experience to the community. So as I said at the beginning, I want you to share something of my friend Jinananda, so that I'll finish with this. Don't switch it on. There we go. So this is me and Jinananda in conversation about 5 years ago about talking about mindfulness, and the main reason I want to share it is just I want to share Jinananda.
It's like people come to mindfulness as they used to come to, well, they still do come to meditation. They say, I can't stop my mind thinking, in meditation. Is the obvious one, And people come to meditation with these fundamental kind of fixed views. There's probably something in it, but in a way they've got it wrong, right? And I think people come to mindfulness with certain fixed views, some ideas of what it's about, and I find myself having to just tweak it, just to tune it in. So one obvious one is this present moment business, right? And I think that needs to be challenged, because more than once, people have said to me, I don't, this business of always having to be in the present moment, they clearly feel slightly as if they're not being mindful when they're thinking about the past, right? They've got this feeling that if you're thinking about the past, you can't be mindful. Right? Do you see what I mean? So people have there are these basic wrong views.
Yeah.
I think this whole present moment business needs to be, as it were, knocked on the head. I would like a radical departure from mindfulness as being about being in the present moment, because I don't think it is. Right? I think it's a fundamental wrong view. I mean, in the Dhammapada, the Buddha says, leave behind the past and the future and the present, and become free. Right? So this privileging of the present moment, as if I think that in a way is at the heart of the issue, because that's where you lose touch with the ethical dimension for a start. Yeah. The ethical dimension, and also the emotional dimension as well. That our emotions are to do with the past, they're to do with the future. It's as if you're saying, we ideally we want to be without any emotions, right? So the present moment I would get rid of, or I would really want to kind of really sort of say, no, it's not about being in the present moment. Secondly, I would say, no, it's also not about being non-judgmental, for obvious reasons, the whole ethical. Again, I think people find that really. People say, "Oh, what do you mean? I can't."
Well, if you said
you make this point, in this about non-judgmental, and then but you don't kind of say. You don't really address it. It's as if your finessing of that non-judgmental idea, because you know what the problem with it is, but you don't really headline it. You don't say, look, it's not about being non-judgmental, as it were.
Yeah, I can't remember how much I put in there of what I actually say on courses and things, But on courses, I do actually address it quite strongly, So it is only about being non-judgmental about what you're experiencing. It's got nothing to do with judging anything else.
Yeah, but see, this is why. I would just drop the whole word non-judgmental. I introduce the word kind instead. Yeah, kindly. What's wrong with that?
No, nothing.
Nothing at all. So I drop it, and also on purpose.
Yeah.
Right. The third one is, of course, on purpose. Right. So in this way, you really make people go, oh. So the whole thing is completely wrong, and then people go, oh dear. And then people go, oh right, well I better buy this book to find out this guy's just talking complete bollocks. How can he say this about the revered John Kabat-Zinn's brilliant ideas? Then you've got a book, right?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Oh, I get it, yeah.
It doesn't, in a way, John Kabat, in a sense, everyone knows what you're saying. No one's.
Yeah.
It's just that it's about just being a little bit more kind of
rhetorical.
Yeah, in a way, it's about rhetoric, the art of rhetoric. Yeah. So the third one, on purpose.
Yeah.
Mindfulness sati is not about purpose, is it? The purpose only comes in when when you come to ethics, and your purpose is to distinguish between positive mental states and negative mental states. You've got a purpose there, but there isn't a purpose. When it comes to sati, it's about being open. What is sati?
Mindfulness.
Okay, yeah, so what is it? Mindfulness. Sorry.
Well, it's bringing awareness to what's going to lead to happiness and what isn't.
That's your definition of mindfulness.
Yeah. You mean mindfulness covers in being aware in the present moment, not judgmentally and on purpose.
And on purpose. Well, you see, I feel that
Sampajanya is mindfulness of purpose.
Yes, it's mindfulness. It's with a purpose, but it's not on purpose, right?
Mm.
I mean, of course, you have, but see, the idea that John Kabat-Zinn's idea is that this attention that you're giving, as it were, this attention, he's saying it's on purpose, right? It isn't on purpose, because purpose means that you are you have some kind of an agenda with your, and actually what he's what you're initially doing with sati is being open to the whole of your experience. You don't want to leave any of it out, do you?
Mm.
Right? So there isn't any, I mean, I'm sorry, I haven't sort of worked all this out yet, but there isn't actually a purpose to it. Right?
Yeah, but that's where Sampajanya comes in. Because you always get sati and Sampajanya together, often,
Yeah, Sampajanya. How do you pronounce it?
Sampajanya.
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 No,
Sampajanya.
Sampajanya.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Okay, Sampajanya, right, okay. But that's mindfulness of purpose, mindfulness of what your intentions are.
Yeah, or clear comprehension, it's often translated as.
Clear comprehension. Why is it translated as clear comprehension? What's that got to do with mindfulness of purpose?
Well, Dante. Anyway, and on and on. So, I just really wanted to share that because, just in memory of Jinanda, because he died of cancer like a couple of years ago, and so he's got, I think he's got 3 books out. Meditating is one. Warrior of Peace is another one, and he's got all the ones he's edited of Sangharakshita, and he's well known as a reader of audio books. But I just wanted to share him, really. His just what I love about him. Just that character and argumentativeness. And but it was such a delight to be there and spend a couple of hours every now and then just working on the book with him. Yeah, may he rest in peace. Okay, so that's all for today. Been a nice long session, and see you again tomorrow.